stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To those guests who've just joined us, welcome. Our next stop is the Magic Kingdom. For those of you standing, please hold on to the handrails throughout our journey and stay clear of the doors. Stay clear of the doors. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching our station at the entrance to Main Street, USA.
Welcome aboard the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast. I'm Justin Monorail, and this is episode number 269 of the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast. Today is Monday, September the 15th, 2025, and I've got three big headlines to discuss coming out of the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. And at the end of the show, I'm going to share my thoughts, my review, my experience at the brand new pirate-themed bar in the Magic Kingdom, the Beak and Barrel, because yes, ladies and gentlemen, I did get to visit that lovely new location this past Saturday, September the 13th, and I'm going to tell you all about it. But we're going to start with news. Today, you've just got me, no Landon and Steffers, and really, that's my fault. I couldn't make this morning's recording, and I told them, guys, my bad. I'm going to handle this one alone. So they got the day off, and you're stuck here with me. Apologies in advance, but we're going to have a good time. So let's tarry no further. Let us dive into the news. That's right, dreamers. We're back with the headlines from the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. And today, I've selected three articles for us to discuss and think about and dream about as we let our thoughts wander to the most magical place on earth. We're going to start with something very magical, and that is a brand new experience coming to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Recently, Disney has rolled out a brand new Meet the Fairy Godmother add-on experience at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique in the Magic Kingdom. Kids who book the makeover now have a chance to meet the Fairy Godmother herself and get a special photo moment at the end of their transformation. It's a small but magical enhancement that makes the boutique experience feel even more immersive, and it gives families an extra keepsake for the memory books. The rollout started this past week, and early guest feedback has been very, very good. And it really is sort of icing on the cake for an already very popular experience. Now, this is not something I've ever experienced myself. My kids never did the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique experience, but I know a lot of people take their kids there, especially on like first trips to Walt Disney World and specifically the Magic Kingdom. And now this is either a reason to go back, or maybe this pushes you over the line if it's something that you were sort of considering doing, and now they've plussed up the experience by adding the Fairy Godmother. I think it's cool. I think it's a great idea. Very, very exciting. And, you know, if you've done this experience in the past with your children or maybe just yourself, I'd love to hear what your experience was and what you think about Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And now that you will have the opportunity to have the Fairy Godmother come and interact with your child, is this something that you might consider taking your kids to in the future? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. So let me know. But I think it's very cool. Always, you know, adding on new experiences and plussing things up is always a good thing. So very, very good stuff. And speaking of enhancing experiences, let's hop over to Guardians of the Galaxy. This past week, we found out that EPCOT will be bringing back a very popular one-day only event in September, and that is, of course, on September 21st. If you visit Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, they will celebrate that special day by playing exclusively the Earth, Wind, and Fire song September as the ride soundtrack. Now, if you remember, do you remember the lyrics, which actually state, do you remember the 21st night of September? I know some people, this is like a misheard lyric kind of thing. They think it says, do you remember the very first night of September? That's not what it says. It's 21st night. And so you might have a reason to make that day even more memorable by riding Guardians of the Galaxy and getting to listen to the Earth, Wind, and Fire song September as you ride. So now, because this is a one-day only event and it's becoming something of an unofficial holiday for EPCOT fans and Disney fans, the ride might have a little bit longer of a wait than it has typically carried, on the days around it in September. So just if you plan on trying to go experience this, just keep that in mind. There will be plenty of guests that actually plan to get in there and try to ride so they can hear September on the 21st day of September. So, if it's something that's important to you, mark your calendar, plan accordingly, and just know that more than likely that'll impact your ride. But yes, on that day, you will have one song and one song only playing as you fly around the galaxy and try to help defend the galaxy. And maybe, who knows, maybe you'll actually become an honorary member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That doesn't mean as much to me. I'd rather just get some milk toast on my way out. But, different strokes for different folks. And finally, while in EPCOT, there's another change that you may notice if you find yourself over in the Morocco Pavilion in World Showcase. The Restaurant Marrakesh marquee and exterior signage has completely been removed from the Morocco Pavilion. While the interior space has been closed since the pandemic and sporadically used for festival booths and other pass holder events, the removal of the signs makes us believe that maybe this restaurant is going away permanently. Rumors are swirling that a new table service concept could move in, potentially with an IP-inspired overlay, though nothing's been officially confirmed. And for now, the pavilion continues to operate the Tangerine Cafe and Festival Kiosk. You also have Spice Road Table there, but no more Restaurant Marrakesh, which really is pretty sad. That restaurant was great. If you never had a chance to go, it was definitely a unique menu that you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else in the World Showcase or on Disney property. And there was some very cool live entertainment, including live belly dancers and things like that. I just hope when the restaurant reopens in whatever form it comes back, that it still has some traditional Moroccan food and more adventurous fare than what you might find, at the Connections Cafe. I think it was always a strength to have the variety of food in the World Showcase, and I like it to stay that way. So we'll see. As soon as we learn anything new about what's happening with Restaurant Marrakesh, we will let you know right here on the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast, because A, we are your source for Walt Disney World news, and B, if it involves food, doubly so. So stay tuned, stick around, and we will share that with you as soon as we know more. So that was pretty brief. That was a quick round of news items today, but, no reason to linger on them too long. There wasn't anything really major that came out that we really wanted to talk about this week. But the big thing, the big news personally, is that I did get to go to the Beak and Barrel in the Magic Kingdom yesterday, September 13th, 2025, with my good buddy Cocktail Bob, because he is the master of reservations. Now, he let me know this was his third trip to Beak and Barrel. He didn't need to flex on me like that, but he's been there a couple times already. His first trip on opening day, he actually went with Jeremy and Rhonda from Main Street Magic and his wife Christina. And then his second trip, it may have been solo. I don't know who went with him, but it doesn't matter. This time I got to go, and I took a couple of my friends with me as well, and we had a great time. Now, let me tell you the experience start to finish. So you do have to make reservations ahead of time. We all know that. You can't just walk up and put your name in. When it is about 15 minutes till your reservation time, you can check in. It's the typical check-in process that you experience at any other table service or dining experience at Walt Disney World. You check in on the app. You let them know if you have any allergies or you're celebrating anything or, whatever it may be. And basically you just check in and they let you know that you'll get a text and a notification whenever your table's ready. So in this case, just took 5-10 minutes, and then we got a notification that in order to complete our check-in process, we needed to go see a cast member at the front of the Beak and Barrel. So we did head over to the restaurant, and really all it was she just, I think, had to physically see that we were there and say we were ready. And so she told us to wait in the sort of, I'm going to call it a patio area in front of the entryway to Beak and Barrel, and that a pirate would be coming out and calling our name shortly. And so we did. The wait wasn't very, very long, and we got called. Very excited. We step in. Our guide, the host that was bringing us in, the host pirate, was telling us a little bit about the different rooms that we were going to see and the story behind what's going on in the bar. And that was all great. And I really got to tell you, when you step in there, you really feel like you are stepping into a scene from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It's awesome. It's so densely themed. The decor is on point, and you really feel like you're transported into, the world of the Pirates of the Caribbean. And there's a lot of nods to the ride, but there's also sort of influences from the movie as well. So just keep your eye out. There's little Easter eggs and things to see everywhere. But we were most excited about seeing sort of, I'm going to call it the quote unquote show. We've heard that the parrot quartermaster, this animatronic parrot, comes out and leads songs or tells stories or just initiates special effects or things to happen in the restaurant every 10-15 minutes. This is supposed to happen. So we go in the restaurant and we're excited to see all that. But first, we find out that the place that we are going to be quote unquote seated, we were actually supposed to be standing, was in the captain's quarters, and it was basically a ledge along a stained or frosted glass wall that, if the wall wasn't there, we would have been facing the bar in the main mess hall. But instead, we have this stained glass, frosted glass wall right in front of us, and then maybe a 6 to 8 inch ledge that was about, I'm going to say 10 feet long or so. And there was already a couple of people standing on one side of it. So then the four of us got piled on beside them. So I immediately reacted to this because I was disappointed that A, not only were we going to be blocked from seeing any of the show in the main room, but B, this was going to be uncomfortable. We were going to be kind of crammed in where people were walking around, and we were just going to have to stand the whole time. And this wasn't really the experience that I wanted to have the first time at Beak and Barrel. So I know that it was written all over my face that I was disappointed. I look over at Bob, I look over at my friends. They're sort of confused and don't really understand how this is even considered a bar or table area. And so the host picked up on that, and he looked at me and he said, is this going to be okay? And I want to say that typically the way I am in a situation like that, I'm just going to say, yeah, this is fine, because I tend to just roll with it. I don't want to be a complainer. I don't want to cause a lot of noise. It's fine. I realized it was a roll of the dice. We didn't know where we were going to be seated or standing at this place, and it would have been great if we could have gotten something else, but so it goes, c'est la vie. Here we are, and we have our little ledge in front of the frosted glass. But I thought about it for a second, and I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to come back to this place. It's hard to get a reservation, and the drinks are expensive. We're going to be spending money here. Plus, we thought about, what if we get food? We didn't really have any room for the food. So I just said, this is not okay, which is not something that I would normally do. But I just looked, like I said, I'm sure he was picking up on the energy that we were giving off, that we were not happy. And I was like, no, this is not going to be okay. Well, to his credit, the cast member was great. He was like, no problem. I just have to take you back outside, and we'll have to put you on basically on the wait list again until another spot opens up, which we were fine with. We weren't in a hurry. We didn't have anywhere to be. And we were like, okay, that's fine. That, we're the ones saying this is not okay with us. We are willing to go behind some other people to get a different seat. So takes us outside, sits us back down on the patio there in the courtyard outside of the Beak and Barrel. And he says it's going to be about 20 minutes. As it turned out, before he could even go back inside or take another party, he turns back around to us and says, actually, I have something for you now. So we immediately went back in and got our first quote unquote look of the Beak and Barrel. And this time we got 4 seats at one of the long banquet tables that's actually in the mess hall. So 2 on either side of the table. So 2 of us were facing the bar where the quartermaster parrot would come out and all the effects and everything are, and 2 would be facing, the back wall. What I found out was where we were in the captain's quarters, we were on one side of this frosted glass wall that had the ledge. On the side on the mess hall, there is also a ledge that people are standing at, but that one would at least be better because you're in this room where you can see the parrot and you're kind of in the main room. To me, that seemed a little more reasonable and acceptable, But I guess my takeaway from that piece, and the reason I tell that story, is this is something that I say anytime that you're doing something at Walt Disney World, especially things that you're paying for. Don't be afraid to speak up if something is wrong. Now, the cast member may not be able to change it. And if you speak up and they say, I'm sorry, there's nothing that we can really do about this, like this is what it has to be, then that's fine. At least you spoke up and you gave them the opportunity, or just like presented it out into the world that something may happen and it may be able to change. So if you're in this situation, or even I would say when you check in with a host at the Beak and Barrel, maybe just tell them if you would prefer to be seated or what room you'd prefer to be in, or whatever it may be. I had this experience when I went to be our guest the first time. Like, we wanted to sit in the West Wing room. We heard it was like the most thematic and really interesting and stuff. So we wanted to sit in the West Wing. So I remember when we checked in at that restaurant, the Be Our Guest, I told them, I was like, is there any way we could get seated in the West Wing? And they said they had to check with Cogsworth and they would let us know. And then just a few minutes later, the cast member said, we're going to accommodate you, but it may mean that you just have to wait just a little bit longer, which is fine. As long as I'm sacrificing some time to get something, the experience that I want, or an experience closer to what I want, then that's fine. And again, they didn't have to accommodate that. It was a request, and they didn't have to accommodate our move at Beak and Barrel. It was a request, but they did, and I really, really appreciated that. So that was great. Now, based on what happens next, I'm going to say that I am very glad that we requested the change. We were unaware that on this particular day, I guess the Parrot Quartermaster was on paid time off. He was not there. He was not doing the show. In fact, the entire time that we were at the Beak and Barrel, we didn't see any special effects. There were no sing-alongs. There was no interaction with the cast other than our server. And it really was like, oh, we are just now in a lounge and we're going to have a couple drinks and leave. That's as far as it went. Now, we were in a very cool lounge, highly themed, great place, but we did not get any quote unquote show. So I would say, had we had stayed where we were, well, we wouldn't have missed anything because there wouldn't have been nothing to see, but we probably would have even felt even more disappointed because not only did we not, we were in an uncomfortable place, there was no show, but we couldn't even see if there was. So I don't know. I'm glad we requested a move. I'm glad it happened. And maybe because things were not working like they were supposed to that day in the Beak and Barrel, that's why they accommodated us and moved us, because they didn't want us to have another reason to be unhappy. We did ask, we asked our server, so, where's the pair? Where's the quartermaster? What's going on? And she said, I think he may have had a little too much rum yesterday. He's still asleep. We haven't seen him today. So disappointment number 2 anyway. But I have to say, like, you got to sort of like check yourself and be like, we're still in a very cool lounge in the Magic Kingdom. First time in this place. Things are going to happen. It hasn't been open that long. They're working through their kinks. It'll be fine. It did make me a lot more aware that while we were sitting there, we're having our drinks and food and stuff, that it's pretty loud. It's pretty loud in that bar. So just a note for parents who, they themselves might be somewhat sound sensitive, or to parents with kids who are sound sensitive or whatever it may be, that Beak and Barrel can get pretty noisy. I mean, it is a pirate tavern after all, so I guess that's not a huge surprise. But yeah, just I would say keep that in mind. I always talk about how I love sci-fi dine-in theater in Hollywood studios because I feel like it's naturally quiet just because of the nature of that place. But this one definitely is not, probably for a similar reason. You're in a rowdy pirate bar, so people are loud and they're having a good time. That's just how it is. Okay, so now to talk about what we ordered. We all tried something different, and we did have a little inside intel because, again, this wasn't Bob's first rodeo at the Pirate Tavern, so he let us know things he had tried, things he liked. And as it turned out, there were a couple drinks that really stood out to him. One was the Lit Fuse. This is the mezcal with the banana liqueur, coconut water, lime juice, and smoked chili bitters. And then he said also the Barrels Ablaze, which is the bourbon, honey, lime, and chili. So I went with the Barrels Ablaze. I'm more of a bourbon over mezcal kind of person. I I don't mind tequila. Like, I'll do tequila. I don't love mezcal. That's just not my thing. So, I mean, I'm sure it was fine. In certain drinks, it works just fine. You know, mezcal has a naturally smoky, like, flavor to it. And sometimes it's just too much for me. This one, maybe it balanced it out. I didn't try, you know, 2 people in our party got the lit fuse. I didn't try it. It's cool. It comes with some sort of a crusty rim that looked like it was probably spicy. And they both said it's a very spicy drink. And I will say the Barrels Ablaze is kind of spicy too with the chili that they have in it. But it's good. It's actually like with the honey and lemon and the bourbon, it's almost like grandpa's old cough medicine or something. It'll cure what ails you. Another one of our party members got the Salty Seas Margarita, which is the Blanco tequila, Cointreau, ube, and lime. And very interesting. The flavors of this were really interesting and good. I actually did take a sip of it. It almost had like a coconut sort of a flavor. I guess it was coming from the ube, but it had like a creamy texture to it. And it was just different. It was different than any other, like, a margarita I would typically have. And I thought it was pretty good. For round 2, I ended up going with Siren's Whisper, which is the pot and column still white rum blend, Bowls Blue Curacao, Combier Creme de Pêche de Vigne Liqueur, lime and cinnamon. And they bring it to you with a little vial of mermaid tears that they drip into the drink to finish it off. And it makes it sparkly. So it basically makes you have a blue sparkly drink in a cool glass. And then one of our other party members got the Plunderer's Punch. No. We didn't get the Plunderer's Punch. It was the hibiscus rum Punch Royale. That's the one that we got. With the Puerto Rican rum, hibiscus, demerara, and lime topped with Prosecco. She said that really tasted like juice. It was very juicy. So maybe a little sweet for her, but she liked it, but it was like she didn't think that she would order that like a second one of those. Siren's Whisper, it was good. It tasted kind of strong to me, which actually I would say my Barrels Ablaze also tasted strong, which you hope so because you're ordering $19 or $20 drinks. But yeah, you want to get your money's worth, but good all around. And then another one of our, for round 2, one of the other party members got one of the beers, which I did not try. And I can't remember what Bob got for round 2. But regardless, the drinks were good. Bob told us when we went in there to be prepared because in this place, 45 minutes goes very fast. And by the time you get to like 41 minutes, they're ready to like drop the check on the table. So, and that really was the case. So, one of my friends started a timer when we got there. And when it got to 22 minutes, we were like, oh, we need to order our second drink because you're only allowed 2. It's 2 drink maximum. They don't let you order any more than that, which is good. These are, like I said, these are strong drinks. You're in the Magic Kingdom. You don't need to be getting hammered or anything. But, yeah, that 45 minutes, it burns real fast. And I'd say it probably goes even faster when there's actually like show elements and things like that happening that are distracting you. But just us sitting at the table having our conversation was keeping me from like, on pace where I should have been, drinking my drink. So just something to keep in mind. 45-minute time limit is strictly enforced. The 2 drink maximum is strictly enforced. And they do drop that check off when you're like about 42 minutes in. The only food we actually ended up getting was the Cook's corn griddle cakes with chipotle braised chicken. Bob got that. He cut it up into little slices and ate that. And he said it was good. I actually didn't try any of it. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't because it looked delicious. But, on another trip, I think I was sort of thrown off just by how the flow of our adventure that day had gone. I really wanted to try the Kraken's Catch with the octopus tentacle because I'm a fan of octopus and it looked like it's an interesting little dish. But reason to go back at some point. And of course I'm going to go back because like I said, it was a cool place. It was a cool experience, but, not getting to see the show that left me, wanting to experience that on another day and then, not trying the food. And then there's other drinks. I didn't get the Plunderer's Punch is the one that comes with the souvenir skull mug. So it sounds good. It's rum, blackberry, lime, and vanilla served in a pirate skull. And no one in our party got it, but I did see other people ordering it. But Bob had gotten it before. and he showed me later that night. I visited his home tiki bar that he has, and he had one set up, and it is very cool. Also, key piece of information about that mug, it's dishwasher safe, which that is like a freaking miracle. And I don't know how, because it's got like this shiny gold leaf looking stuff on the outside, but I don't know that I would put it in the dishwasher, but it says it's dishwasher safe. Not microwave safe, but it says it's dishwasher safe. So who knows if you want to try that or not. It's a $46 mug technically, so be careful. Owner beware, I guess. But that's something. It is cool looking in person, and I was kind of sad that I didn't get one. So, next trip I got to do that. I got to do the octopus, and then maybe I can also hook myself up, and be able to see or show up on the right day and be able to see, all the show elements and things happening. And, just for the record, they do have a rum selection. There's 2-ounce pours of some very special rum that you can get there. They have beer, as I mentioned. They have draft and bottled and canned beer. And they do have a few wines that you can order from. And then they do have non-specialty or non-alcoholic specialty beverages for the kids, or even for the adults who just want something non-alcoholic. And I noticed while we were there was a family, 2 parents and 2 kids that sat beside us. And the kids got, I thought they were kids menus. They were actually just little pirate maps that had like a maze and a word find. And then they had a blank flag where they could draw their own Jolly Roger and different things like that. And I was like, oh, I kind of want one of those kids menus. Well, as it turns out, one of the kids did not touch their little kids menu, and they left it behind. So I snagged it. I brought it home for me. I've got my own little kids menu from Beak and Barrel. But, fun fact, you could probably ask, if you go, you could ask your server for one, because they give you a little pencil so you can fill stuff out. It's a fun thing to do if you want a challenging crossword or word find, word search, and a fun maze that you could do on your own. But I would say right now I cannot give this place a grade, mostly because I feel like it was a half experience. I will say if I was going to grade it, knowing that it's such a crapshoot whether or not you're going to like get a seat that you actually enjoy and then be put in a place where you're feeling like you just are on the side. And Bob told me that they actually sat in the captain's quarters and sat way over in the corner for one of his trips, and it was like so far away and they couldn't see anything, and it was just like a dark corner. So that's sort of disappointing. But they're trying to get as many people in there as they can. I get it. They're trying to fill the space. I think they can probably do something a little different with that ledge with the frosted glass or whatever it is. But, they're trying to create separation. They're trying to create different rooms. And so anyway, knowing that it's a bit of a crapshoot where you sit, the drinks are good. They are expensive. That 45 time limit goes fast. You don't know if you're going to be able to see the show. Right now, I would say like I couldn't give it like a full-throated recommendation for someone to go, especially if you're not local. Like a local person, I would say, oh yeah, sure, roll the dice. Why not? Because you can go and you'll have a chance to go back. If you have a Magic Kingdom day and it's just an adult day, yeah, sure, give it a shot. There's no other, you can get beer and wine and some cocktails at some of the sit down restaurants, but like this is the only place you can go where you can get something like this. Like a bar experience, in the Magic Kingdom. So why not? But like, I wouldn't just rave about it at this point. I need to give it another shot, and I want to get the full experience, and I want to try some, more of the drinks, more of the food, and then maybe I can give a more full review. But for now, this is an incomplete. We'll come back to it. I really wanted to give it a Monorail Gold, but I can't quite do that yet. So this is a half Monorail, no colors attached. And we will revisit it later. Okay, my friends, I think that is going to do it for today's episode number 269 of the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know this was a short one. I'm sort of struggling. I don't know if you can hear it. My voice is a little bit congested. I've got kind of an itchy throat today, so just struggling through it. And I hope it wasn't too much of a pain to listen to. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time, and I promise it's going to be an even better time if you come back next week, because we'll have Steffers, we'll have Landon, and we'll have me, and hopefully I will not be congested anymore. But for now, thank you so much for listening. Just a reminder, You can follow Steffers on Twitch, Adventures with Steffers. Landon is on the radio at News Talk 987 in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's newstalk987.com, 6 to 10 a.m., Monday to Friday. And he is THEDOZ on Blue Sky, so you can follow him there if you want to talk wrestling or anything else with him. I'm Justin Monorail. You can join us on Facebook, the Monday Morning Monorail Fam Facebook group. Please join us there. You can join our Discord if you want to do that. We've got a static link in the pinned post in the Facebook group. And we're on Blue Sky. We're on Instagram. You can find us all over the place. But thank you. I am so happy that you are part of the Monorail family, and I hope that you'll be back here again next week. And until then, thank a team member, thank a cast member, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.